So we had a lot of participants confirmed. That's why we're just waiting for people to log on after hopefully everyone has had a wonderful long weekend. Donc, je vais commencer, and thanks for everyone for joining us today this morning. So before we begin, please note that this session
will get us started.
in both French and English with simultaneous interpretation. So, donc, cette présentation se fera en français et en anglais avec interprétation.
The session will take place in English and in French with simultaneous interpretation.
Please click the interpretation icon, which looks like a globe in the bottom left-hand corner of your screens. Donc, cliquez sur l'icône d'interprétation qui ressemble à un globe.
Click the interpretation icon that looks like a globe in the bottom left corner of your screen.
You'll see some further instructions for simultaneous interpretation, also in the chat box. And we will be recording this session today, and we will be sharing the French and English videos with attendees, as well as with those partners who can't join us today this morning. So I'm speaking to you all from the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe peoples. I encourage all of us to reflect on where we are located and the relationship with the ancestral land and traditional peoples that we may have. So traditionally, the territory that is now the National Capital Region, where I and my team are located, was valued by the Anishinaabe people for its strategic location at the confluence of the joining of the three rivers, which run in all four cardinal directions, actually, and connect all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. As such, this is a meeting place to trade and, of course, share information. So it's appropriate we find ourselves here today for this session of information sharing. So if we can go to slide 3, please. This is our third forum with partners on the Grants and Contributions Transformation Initiative, which we lovingly refer to as the GCTI for short. This is our biannual opportunity to connect with all of you, our partners, on our work to transform the way Global Affairs Canada delivers grants and contributions. And we appreciate those of you in the east of Canada who are holding this event during your lunch hour. Hopefully you're eating while listening. But our goal is to accommodate our colleagues in the west and allow more time zones to join. And today with this session, we are here not to simply update you, but to engage you and capture your reflections and receive your feedback on the work we have performed to date. So we value your time. So this update won't be exhaustive, but we've prioritized what we believe is most interesting and important to partners. But of course, if you would like to learn more, please reach out to us, and we're very transparent and open with what we are working on. So today we will share our progress made so far since the last time we spoke in December, and a lot of work has been done since then. And it includes a sneak peek demonstration of the prototype for our new portal for partners. And as mentioned, throughout the session, we're going to be capturing your feedback and taking your questions through a tool that we found actually very useful called Mentimeter. And so next slide, please. Before we begin, though, another important objective today is to update you all on something you may have heard about, the reorganization and transformation within Global Affairs Canada. And we have two special VIP guests here today to help provide that update. So I'm very pleased to welcome Patricia Pena and Shirley Carruthers. Patricia, whom many of you will know, is our Assistant Deputy Minister of International Development, Partnerships and Operations. And Shirley, who is our Chief Financial Officer and also our Assistant Deputy Minister for Corporate Planning, Finance, and Information Technology. We're very honored to have the participation from two ADMs today. So Patricia, I'll turn it over to you first. Thank you.
Merci Brandon, et puis merci à tout le monde qui est là.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you everyone for joining. As Brandon said, I hope you enjoyed your long weekend.
Interact today at this really important Partners Forum. I've had the pleasure of attending previous ones, and everyone feels like it's the most important. So thank you. And I want to, that thank you is to you as partners for taking the time to join us, but also for your continued engagement. I don't think we can say enough how important that is for this initiative. So in preparing about what I wanted to say today, really probably two big things. So first of all, to reflect on how much we've achieved to date, but then also looking ahead to the new chapter. So maybe I'll look first to the new chapter and then reflect on what we've achieved. Donc, beaucoup d'entre vous, vous avez déjà entendu peut-être parler d'un changement qu'on subit ici à Affaires mondiales Canada. Le ministère fait l'objet d'une...
Maybe some of you have already heard what will be going on here at Global Affairs Canada. The department is being overhauled. This reorganization is very significant, will take place in September.
It was due. It's going to take place at the end of August and beginning of September. So we have a bit of time now, well in advance, to let you know. So as part of this, we're going to have a new branch, which is the International Assistance Partnerships and Programming Branch. And this will combine a number of functions and relationships and programming that are currently done by several branches in Global Affairs Canada. So it will combine the Global Issues and Development branch, often also referred to as MULTI for short. It will also include the branch that I'm currently responsible for, the International Development Partnerships and Operations branch, and the programming elements of the International Security branch. Many of you are familiar with PSOP, so the Peace Stabilization Operations programs, and a number of other programs that are more in the security sector. Donc, l'idée, c'est d'avoir un focus sur la programmation, qu'on ait un certain contenu.
The idea is to have a focus on programming. We want to ensure continuity, and we want to have more clarity on efforts, and we want to combine multilateral operations, also known as multi in other branches. We want to ensure we are better connected with you and ensure our programming and communications are both more effective. I've had conversations with people. Some told me that they had to call a different colleague, a counterpart. So we know that this overhaul will allow us to have better coordination.
We are very seized by the need to try wherever possible to minimize the disruption to you and to the work that we currently have underway. One other change that will be happening is that the Grants and Contributions Transformation Initiative is going to be transitioning. So I'm currently the lead sponsor for it and have been working with Brandon and the whole of the GCTI team for the better part of almost 2 years. It's going to be transitioning to the leadership of my very dear colleague, Shirley Carruthers, who will speak right after me. And it really marks a bit of a kind of a milestone for us. We have had a lot of work in startup phase, for lack of a better word, and now it makes a lot of sense for it to be under Shirley's leadership. I'm really feeling very confident about the change and really feel so privileged to have been able to work with you and with others during all of this time. Donc, mon rôle actuel en tant que SMA m'a permis d'assurer que cette initiative
My current role has allowed me to make sure that this initiative is really anchored in international activities, that it is informed by you, our partners, and we call each other international and Canadian partners, but we are, of course, all interconnected via localization in countries where we work.
For what is the grants and contributions transformation. Our culture is one of kind of fostering co-creation, having a user-centric design, and these are things that are going to be carrying forward as we step into the new chapter for the grants and contributions transformation. Je veux vraiment reconnaître puis féliciter à Brandon puis à toute l'équipe. Il y en a plusieurs qui sont
I really want to congratulate Brandon as well as the whole team. Several of them are present on this call. We wouldn't be here without their hard, dedicated work. They've done extraordinary work, really.
different role. Please rest assured, I will be very, very involved from my new vantage point in the grants and contributions transformation. I am very honored to be continuing in this world of international assistance, and I'm going to be one of the 2 assistant deputy ministers leading the new branch. And so in doing so, we'll continue to be an avid supporter of the Grants Contributions Transformation Initiative, and we'll continue working with you and many others. So with those introductory words, I want to pass the mic over to Shirley. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Patricia. Actually, we're unfortunately having technical challenges with Shirley. We saw her just a moment ago, but it seems she has no audio and no video now. So I'll speak to a few things just to amplify what you had mentioned, Patricia. First of all, we are Global Affairs Canada. We're one department. We're all fully aligned to the success of this initiative. And exactly as you mentioned, Patricia, I think as we transition to this next chapter in the evolution of this initiative, it makes a lot of sense. And we have a lot of synergy working with our Chief Financial Officer and Shirley moving forward. In a way, if another thing, if I can mention, is that we have been speaking about the importance of co-creation and working with our partners and the users and our officers throughout this entire journey. And so, regardless of the branch and the ADM that we're under, and because all the ADMs support this initiative, but the most important thing is that we have continued input and engagement from our partners. So we have a number of years ahead of us, and we have a lot of progress that we've made that we'll share with everyone in a couple of minutes. But I think that this is a very important moment, perhaps, to talk about the fact that the future is bright indeed for continuing our work. But open it up if anyone has any questions while we have at least Patricia and on the line with anything we've mentioned so far. Okay, so in the chat, I see that Rola, you're mentioning that some of your colleagues are also having technical challenges. Sorry to hear that. Donc, ne soyez pas timide, mais hopefully, as we progress, if there are questions that...
So don't be shy.
And also, if we don't get a chance to answer questions live during this session, we will actually follow up and make sure all the questions are answered as well.
Brandon, I see there's a question from Sonia Poulin. I have a question. Will ACCBP fall under the same umbrella? So maybe I can answer that. So yes, it will. So that's the Anti-Crime Capacity Building program, for anyone who's not familiar with the many acronyms that we have in Global Affairs Canada. So yes, that's currently part of the programming that is in the International Security Bureau. And it includes programming that is ODA, but some of it is also non-ODA. So that will be included also. And one of the things that we think is really exciting about this aspect of the change is that we're really going to be able to follow kind of a range or a continuum, let's say, of programming. And hopefully something that has come up in these conversations and in this work, but also more broadly around Nexus approaches, that it'll kind of help us with some of that. So.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, and thanks, Patricia, for that great answer. Give a couple more seconds. If not, we do have a packed agenda, so we will proceed. I do see that there are some challenges with the registration ID, so hopefully that's on the screen there. I see it's being posted, so people can hopefully get access as well. Yes, Patricia.
Brendan, I will need to leave a bit shortly, but you know, in the absence of Shirley, I just wanted to say that she and I have been working super, super closely in recent months. And for those of you that might not be familiar with her, she was previously at CEDA some time ago, came back some months ago, and has been really very actively also involved internally on GCTI. And it's also her team that has been supporting kind of the CFO forum. So just wanted to emphasize the extent to which this is a kind of seamless handover and transition, and that we're going to continue to tag team really effectively together. So just in case she doesn't get a chance to speak, juste pour dire que je suis vraiment ravie que c'est Shirley qui va prendre la relève.
Just to mention quickly that I'm very glad to see that Shirley will be taking over for this very, very important initiative.
For the next GCTI Partners Forum, we'll make sure we allow Shirley to say hello as well to everybody next time. Thanks so much, Patricia, and thanks for your time. I know, as you mentioned, you have to go, so we'll continue then. On this next section, I thought many of you have been with us on this transformation journey, but I know that there are some partners joining us today and learning about this for the first time. So I won't spend a lot of time recapping, but just to make sure we're on the same page, we are working to ensure Canadian international assistance can reach more people faster, enhancing the impact of Canada's global policy objectives. The impact is high, with approximately $6 billion in grants and contributions annually, which allows close to 1,600 projects with 700 partners, and within Global Affairs, there's well over 1,000 staff involved in the management of grants and contributions. So certainly this is an ambitious undertaking, but our GCTI team is ambitious and audacious. So next slide, please. And to reiterate what you just heard from Patricia, this is a priority for our department, as well as the Minister for International Development. And we are truly looking to transform the delivery of grants and contributions. This is more than just an incremental tinkering at the corners. And you saw some of that at the last Partners Forum, where we announced measures to bring much greater efficiency and lighten the burden for partners. For example, we increased budget line flexibilities. We're working to reduce holdback amounts. Progress has been made, as we'll show you today, but it does take time, especially for the federal government, for a federal department that has been operating in a certain way for decades. And we actually truly appreciate that many partners have already committed and have been working with us alongside us to help make great strides already. So next slide, please. Since our last time we spoke, we've published the Risk Appetite Hackathon report. That event was held last June, included many of you, over 350 participants from Canadian, international, civil society, local partners, think tanks, and the private sector. Basically, participants collaborated, provided feedback on our proposed solutions, as well provided new ideas and new innovations. That event last June has proven to be extremely valuable. And over the past months, many of your ideas and lessons have been integrated into various aspects throughout our work. And that hackathon is just one example of our commitment as Global Affairs to co-creation and consultation with partners. And this idea of co-creation, partner, collaboration, and consultation is central and key to our success. That also is in line with the Government of Canada's digital principles, which call on all departments to be user and partner-centric as we develop our new systems. We've also created a partner advisory group so that we can work with partners directly, and events like today where we provide demonstrations, we receive feedback, we can engage partners through what we call our Fail Smart Lab, where we get feedback directly on early prototypes of what we're developing. So let me speak from a few perspectives. From a technology standpoint, we've already built a partner portal and a GAC internal portal for our enterprise management system. And we've already started holding demonstrations with Global Affairs staff and partners, and we will show that demonstration today. But as we all know, this transformation is far beyond just technology. So today we're going to show you the fourth check mark on the screen, how we are optimizing our business processes. This involves environmental scanning, mapping all our processes so we can identify the most cumbersome, the most time-consuming pieces and work with everyone to find ways of simplifying and optimizing those. Again, even that work, like all our work, is carried out in an agile, user-centered, partner-centered approach. And then the final checkbox on the screen is there is even more exciting work happening in our Fail Smart Lab. This is where we are testing out the ideas that we received from the hackathon and other ideas. And it's a lab, a laboratory, so we can test and be comfortable with what our limits are, test our new approaches, test new processes. And once again, we're privileged to have the commitment and co-creation of many partners. So in the lab, we have 5 partners involved with our Women Voice and Leadership tests. We have 7 partners involved in the International Youth Internship Program. We have 7 other partners involved in the Paid Unpaid Care Work Initiative. And we have 3 partners involved in our Caribbean Development Initiative. So next slide, please. In addition to everything I've spoken about, we've also been very intentional in seeking partner expertise, including through our partner interchange program. So if I can ask 3 partners just to turn on their cameras, 3 colleagues. So first we have Tahina Rabezanahari, who has joined us from Plan International Canada. We have Charmaine Crockett on the screen from CanWatch. And we also have Liliana Coys-Loisel from Videa, who are working with us. They're all contributing with different teams, different areas of our Grants and Contributions Initiative. And I and everyone thank you and your organizations for your co-creation and co-collaboration within Global Affairs now. And another formal tool that we are using is our Partner Advisory Group, our PAG. So in the chat, you'll see the members of the PAG that we will post now. And today we're joined by Shannon Kindernay, the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of Cooperation Canada, and a member of the PAG. And I'll turn it over to Shannon to provide some more information about the group. So over to you, Shannon.
Just one quick moment, Brandon.
No problem. I guess perhaps we're trying to find Shannon in the participants.
We'll have her in just a moment. Stand by.
Okay. Looks like if we can, I see Shannon's online and she's just put in the chat. If someone could just unmute her, please.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Can you hear me okay, Brandon?
yes. Go ahead, Shannon. Over to
Okay,
you.
great. Great to be here. Hi, everyone. Apologies for the technical trouble, but we have arrived. It's great to see you all this morning. So happy to share a bit about the Partner Advisory Group that I've been participating on, the PAG or the PAG as we often refer to it. And we've, of course, been working with the Grants and Contributions Transformation team at Global Affairs Canada for the past year. Some of you may recall the Task Force for Improving Effectiveness that existed in previous years and worked with the department to advance progress on identified pain points and bottlenecks. And so this group sort of emerged out of that structure as the G's and C's transformation process advanced and became very central to our engagement and partnership with the department. So there was a certain logic to transitioning to the PAG to provide advice and insights on this important initiative. The PAG is mainly comprised of coalitions and membership-based organizations, and you will have seen the names that came up in the chat. And some of us are, your usual suspects. So you have CanWatch, the Intercouncil Network, ourselves here at Cooperation Canada, but also representation from private sector, municipalities, and Indigenous partners. And of course, the group includes a variety of staff at Global Affairs Canada, including those that are responsible for the overall initiative, as well as those that work closely with partners in terms of their specific areas of work. And our mandate's really to provide advice with a unique partner lens on the department and implementation of the agenda.
We bring our own experience and strategic advice on approaches and lessons learned that can help alleviate the administrative burden on partners. We also bring reflections on programming, evaluation, rationalization, as well as acceleration of funding and reporting procedures. Certain members of the Partner Advisory Group, as well as other GAC partners, have participated in piloting new approaches within this initiative. And today we're seeing the results of those efforts. The Partner Advisory Group has an important and complementary role to some of those direct engagements with GAC partners, as Brandon has already mentioned. At the same time, our small groups allow us to provide strategic and practical advice on conception, execution, and management of various initiatives and
Over the
activities.
past months, we've worked with the GCTI team to promote greater predictability, communication, and touch points with the sector around the transformation process. In the practical sense, this means advice on agendas, ways of engaging the sector, such as reviewing questions, engagement modalities, working to also connect the dots, recognizing that partners engage with GAC through a variety of forums. This includes regular consultations with, for example, chief financial officers, such as through GAC Spring Roundtables and other processes, but also in the context of the Civil Society Policy Advisory Group. To sum up, with our increasing attention toward co-creation, outreach, and consultation, we're providing input on a targeted and intentional approach to consultation. When is the best time to reach out to partners? To which partners that way to connect and consult them? Well, some expertise bringing perspectives such as we got risk hacking last year, is keen to initiative with local partners in the right that are relevant. How for and that the approaches we take need to be respectful of our local partners' time, intentional, and timely. Over the course of the months, as CIP tests and rolls out new features, the PAG is keen to work alongside them and to ensure that diverse partner perspectives are considered and that partners are also enabled to support this critical initiative effectively. I know firsthand that there's a lot of moving pieces to this initiative, and Brandon and his team on more than one occasion have invited folks to reach out and to connect. Please also feel that you can reach out to us as representatives on the PAG. Merci et à vous, Brandon.
Thanks very much, Shannon. And thanks to all the members of the Partner Advisory Group, actually, for all of your time and commitment to this important transformation. I'm now very pleased to introduce and kick off our next session. So I'd like to introduce David LeBlanc, Claude Desilets, and Christina Foley. And Christina cannot be here with us in person, but you will see and hear her make a special appearance in the video clips you're about to see. So I believe it's over to you now, David.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and apologies for the technical difficulties, folks, but any of us that have hosted an event can relate, I'm sure. We're doing our best here. This is an exciting part for us. I am David. I am the Deputy Director for Strategic Engagement. And today we're going to be using Mentimeter, as Brandon had mentioned, to capture some feedback from you folks. And right now we're just going to do a little bit of an ease into it to see who we have online with us today. So please note that the language for the Mentimeter app is in English, but of course, soyez à l'aise de poser des questions dans la langue officielle de votre choix. And if you go ahead and log...
Don't hesitate to ask any of your questions, your language of choice.
In the chat, we can get started. For anyone attending in a boardroom, you could snap that QR code as well, and it should open on your phones. And I'll give everyone just a couple seconds to get there. And we'll ease into things very simply with, what city are you currently in? Dans quelle ville êtes-vous situé? If we go ahead and...
So where are you located? In which city?
And we can see the results starting to stream in. Of course, naturally, it seems there's a lot of representation from Ottawa and Toronto and Vancouver. But we can also see some representation from a few other places as well. A little bit smaller. See London, St. Catharines. Most seem situated in Canada. I see Port-au-Prince, etc. So please go ahead, keep filling that out as you get a chance. We are all the data is really quite rich for us just to see, get a feeling of where all our partners are joining us from today. All right, and we are a little bit behind schedule, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the next question if I can. So the next one you'll see come up on your screen shortly is how many people work in your organization? And the options are straightforward: 1 to 10, 11 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 499, and I guess for some of those large folks, 500 plus. And there are a few of those, I see. Okay, so we have a great mix here, actually. Some of those smaller organizations, 10 representatives so far, just 1 to 10 employees. Probably not unsurprisingly, 11 to 50 being where the bulk of the respondents are. Oh, very interesting. Wonderful. All right, and our last little warm-up question here is, are you currently funded by Global Affairs? And then the answers are yes, no, but have been in the past, and never. And this, again, just helps give us a little bit of idea about who's online with us today. Okay. Yeah. So, less of a mix here. Certainly, the vast majority of folks seem to be currently funded by Global Affairs. A small slice with Never, and then a slightly larger portion seems to be not currently, but have been in the past. All right. So thank you so much for that. And right now we're going to be forging ahead with a pretty exciting part of
David.
yeah,
Dave,
go
just
ahead.
before you continue, just to respond to Pamela's question in the chat, if it's contracted funding for a project, yes. If it's funding as a monitor, in the sense of the question that's being asked, no. But technically, actually, our monitoring funding is part of our international assistance. So it doesn't. It's not a showstopper whether you've answered yes or no. But there's a distinction there.
Thanks for the precision, Claude. All right, and appropriate that you're on stage now, because next up, folks, we're going to be seeing a series of video clips that are demonstrating the prototypes we've developed for the partner portal. So after each video clip, we're going to come back to Menti to get some reactions, and these are reactions. These aren't in-depth technical questions in nature. We're really just taking pulse checks as we go throughout. And Claude, on screen now live with us, is also the star featured in many of these clips, along with our colleague Christina Foley, who unfortunately, as Brandon mentioned, couldn't be here with us today. So one other technical thing, the video will appear on screen. You can zoom in and out using that plus and minus feature above the screen in WebEx. So if you're having trouble seeing, you can go ahead and zoom in there, and that should take care of the problem. So let's go ahead and queue up that first video.
Welcome to a first early look at what's happening under Global Affairs Canada's Grants and Contributions transformation. Let's have a peek, shall we, at a few key features of the initial prototype for the new portal for external organizations and the internal systems interface for Global Affairs Canada's officers. We start from the perspective of an external organization. We find ourselves in the organization's portal account. As an organization, I want to view new funding opportunities and submit a concept note to bring my project idea to Global Affairs Canada's attention. So I click Find Funding Opportunities. From the list of funding opportunities, I can view the details and click on Apply Now. Under a user-centric approach to application tools, all steps required to complete any part of the funding opportunity process or to manage a project across its life cycle will be clearly defined. We can see this on the left-hand side of the screen. All of the steps are clearly identified. Completing each step is a matter of providing the information required. No longer will I, as an external organization, struggle to understand Global Affairs Canada's sometimes opaque requirements. Let's add a project title. In the second step, I can see that for my organization under this scenario, Transformation Together International, Global Affairs Canada has already accessed the documents it has on file automatically and pre-populated them into this stage of the process. As I progress, I know that I'm hitting all the requirements. I get simple visual cues in the form of green progress indicators and check marks. When I make a mistake, such as forgetting to enter information before I continue, I get instant feedback. I'm told what needs to be corrected, and it's no longer possible to submit a partial request, one where missing information might take weeks or months to notify and rectify. When I get to the end of the process, I can validate and submit the concept note. Once I do submit the concept note and I get the confirmation that the submission was successfully completed, I can navigate back to manage my applications. And here I can see my Elevate Prosperity concept note that I just submitted. I can see the status of the concept note as being confirmed as submitted, and I can view what I submitted by navigating to the View Application button. And here are my details.
All right. So that is the very first glimpse most of you will have had to see the prototype. And again, what we'd like to see here is on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy do you think the new system would be for you to use compared to the current system? We can see the bar moving back and forth.
David, while people are answering the questions, we're actually seeking more honest feedback rather than ego inflating feedback. So whatever your response is valid.
100%. Thanks, Claude. And the spirit of this one is, you know, the current system really is whatever patchwork is currently being used. Maybe few people have had a way to make it work within their organizations, etc. So definitely Claude's appeal to be honest is what we're after here. And it looks like we're settling kind of right in the middle. A little back and forth between 2.4, 2.5. So this is interesting to see, and it's only been the first little glance. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead, if we can go ahead and queue up that next clip so we can keep going and show you a little bit more.
Now we switch hats and jump to the department's internal system interface. This is where officers, managers, and executives will manage grants and contributions files. As a departmental officer, my homepage is my day-to-day dashboard. Here, I see my current work items and activities in the upper left. I see my outstanding applications currently in progress in the upper right, and new applications that are available for me to work on in the bottom right. I can see there's a new concept node called Elevate Prosperity, and it's ready for me to look at. I click on it to open the file. Just like for external organizations, my internal officer interface guides me through the process workflow, illustrated by the bar at the top of the screen with the dots. There's no more guesswork on what the responsibilities and tasks are for new and unfamiliar officers. Also, we now have consistency across all officers, experienced or new, in how files are processed. Each step in the process has defined tasks, and each tasks are clearly identified. On the left-hand side of the screen, I can see all of the information from the concept node as it was submitted. On the right-hand side of the screen, I have all of my assessment criteria listed here. I have a place to record any comments that I might have as I'm doing my assessment, and I can start assessing each part of the concept node with the criteria and my responses to the criteria. I want to come back to the process workflow tracker at the top. I can see that each step in the concept node assessment process is not only being tracked, but it's being tracked by the minute. This new system feature unlocks advanced potential for us as a department. Global Affairs Canada is finally empowered to know where files are at all times. Moving forward, real-time information on file locations, file statuses, service standards, and bottlenecks reduces a lot of non-value added time spent running this information down. It also informs intelligent decision-making moving forward.
All right. So as we have just seen, all project documentation and communications will, in the future system, be stored in one place. Our question for you now is, how confident are you that this will reduce the administrative burden for your team? And your choices are very confident, competent, not sure, not confident, and definitely not confident. So if you can go ahead and take a bit of time now to answer that question. So once again, all all project documentation and communication stored in one place. How confident will you be that this will help reduce administrative burden for you folks? And the answer is there still seems to be a lot of uncertainty, which is understandable with the new system. And then confident with 27, and then very confident 4. So appreciate the vote of confidence on that one. And then 4 and 2 coming up with not very confident or definitely not confident, which again, understandable given the size of the undertaking for this initiative. Claude, any thoughts on that?
Well, one thought, I'm not sure that we kind of gave an overarching caveat. What you're seeing in these videos is really just a prototype. It's not even the main system itself. And because we're using an agile approach, which means we check in early with users such as yourselves, it's such an early stage of development. There's a lot of ideas that will be coming as well. While we're finishing up on the responses, I can also respond to Mursalin's question in the chat about, is existing information going to be automatically transferred to the new portal? There's 2 parts to that question. One is, are forms going to be auto-populated with information that already exists? That, I know that's not directly the question you asked, but that obviously is going to be a basic yes to that. It has to be. That's just a basic functionality. The question of migration of data from the old system to the new system, that lies ahead of us in terms of how that's going to happen, how thoroughly, how much data integrity allows us to do that. So there's no direct response to that yet, but that's one of the big tasks that lies ahead of us in the whole system development process.
Thanks, Claude. Thanks for answering that question in a timely way. And on that, I think we will push on to the next video segment. So if we can go ahead and cue that up, that'd be great.
My next step is to recommend this concept note for an invitation to submit a full proposal. My response to the proponent is generated automatically and instantly. After my managers reviewed my work and approved the invitation for a full proposal, I can see that my current work items list is updated accordingly. And an email has been sent automatically to the organization's contact person, informing them of the invitation to submit a full proposal. Now we're back on the external organization's portal homepage. I'm interested in seeing the status of my Elevate Prosperity concept note, and I click on Manage My Applications. I see the status has changed to invited. Side note, the system prototype's functionality development only goes as far as submitting the project budget for now. The tools for submitting all other parts of a full proposal remain to be developed. Back to the scenario. Before I can start the process for submitting the project budget, I want to look at the feedback that I got for the concept note assessment. And here I have a record of how each criteria was assessed, accompanied by comments from the Global Affairs Canada Assessment Officer and the team. Coming back to manage my applications, I now want to submit my budget. Similar to the concept note submission process, the project budget process has a series of defined and guided steps. No getting off course, with feedback provided anytime something isn't completed properly. Now, I can start completing my project budget. I've completed entering all of the budget information, and I can see from the overview page that the budget tool is pulling targeted programming sector and recipient country information directly from my concept note. And it's auto-populating and auto-calculating this section of the full proposal budget. If I need to update the sector or the country information, I will be able to do that. Eliminating duplicative or redundant data entry is one of several user-centric objectives under the Grants and Contributions transformation. After I've submitted my budget, I can go back to manage my applications from my homepage so I can see my status. And here I can see that my Elevate Prosperity project budget has been submitted in the status, and I've also received an email notification letting me know of this.
All right. So for this one, now that we've had, we're over halfway through these short little videos here. Very simply, from what you've seen of the portal so far, bearing in mind Claude's caveat a little bit earlier, what aspect excites you the most? And this will be an open field, so you can go ahead and populate a very short narrative in there. There is a character limit, and your responses will start to come up on screen. All right, so we see transparency in assessment. Absolutely. Time-saving possibilities, 100%. This is our hope. Another note for transparency of the mechanism. Yep, knowing the status of the application, transparency, clarity of process, feedback on it. Certainly a very strong common thread here. Auto population with data GAC already has on file. Better budget tracking for sure. Recevoir une rétroaction transparente sur les propositions soumises en termes de concordance.
So to receive transparent feedback on the different projects or proposals that are tabled. So a facility to find the information in a one-stop shop.
Seeing the progress of the application, but what is important here is not just seeing the progress, but deadline on the GAC side for decisions. Yeah, this is very valuable feedback for us, folks. So very appreciative for all your answers. And do please keep them coming in. We're keeping them all. All right. So for the sake of time, if we can move on to the next clip, that would be great.
If we jump back to the Global Affairs Canada internal interface and the program officer's workspace, we can see one more feature in the prototype. As an officer, I can click on Timeline in my G's&C's management toolbar. Here I can see the history of the Elevate Prosperity file. I can see who did what, on what day, and at what time, with a description of what was done. All relevant status changes are compiled instantly and available to anyone who needs to see it. And I'm not just limited to entering the file status changes. I can add new entries myself, attach an email, I can record a summary of a phone conversation or a meeting, I can add a note to file. This feature will save incalculable time spent on gathering, compiling, and validating historical information from a myriad of sources on any given file.
All right. So you've now seen that you would have the ability to track the status of your proposal. And I'm guessing this is going to be a popular feature based on what we just saw. But in one word, please describe your reaction to the improvements in project communications that are planned for the portal, and we'll be generating a word cloud with this one. So if you could stick to the one word, that would be wonderful. We're seeing streamlined, consistency, finally, which we can appreciate. Variations on transparency, transparent, open, helpful, which is wonderful to hear. Heading in the right direction, which we hope. Cautiously optimistic, absolutely. Fast and proactive. I see a fantastic there. Confiance.
Trust. Wonderful.
And reassuring. Wonderful. Supportive. These are the types of words we like to see. So wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that. All right. And I believe we do have indeed one last little short clip for you folks. So let's go ahead and get that queued up now.
By now, you will have heard about the work the teams are doing to bring in the PDF, Word, and Excel data into the system in digital format. This has a multitude of benefits for everyone. One of them is the ability to view comprehensive partner portfolio dashboards. So I'll show you a short glimpse of what will be possible in the future system. Dashboards that both the partners and internal staff will be able to view the same information at the same time in real time. So here are some of the potential future features of these dashboards. We can see here our fictitious partner B has 10 operational agreements with a total budget of 167 million. We can see what agreements were signed in what year for how much, whether they're grant or contribution. We can take a look at their disbursements by year, by project. We can also see, okay, well, what is this partner working on in Tanzania, for example? But what I want to draw your attention to is this red dot. This is a disbursement KPI. And so we can see that they have 54% of the funds remaining to be dispersed and 53% of the time remaining. This sounds pretty spot on, but the dot is red. So this gives us that visual cue that all may not be well. So let's take a closer look at the projects. I'll click on the project details. Here on the right side of your screen, you can see operational projects. We can see that expenditure KPI again, but here we can see it more nuanced. Specifically, we can see the life skills project. This one is showing up red, so we know that there's a problem here, or a potential problem. There is $18 million still to be dispersed, and the project agreement ends in just a few months. So we know at the very least that most likely this partner is going to need a no-cost time extension. And we can get a much earlier view of when the no-cost time extensions might be required and other things that might be off track using these KPIs. And the last feature I wanted to draw your attention to is the summary budgets. These will now be digital, so you can see for the whole portfolio where the money is going, or you can just select an individual project and it will summarize the current budget for that project. How much is GAT contributing? How much is the partner contributing? These are just a few of the examples. There's so much more that we can do with proper data, and we're very much looking forward to hearing from you what you would most like to see in future dashboards.
Ultimately, the benefits of grants and contributions transformation will accrue one building block at a time and through the accumulation of small but intelligent and agile improvements. Building on Global Affairs Canada's ability for continuous adaptation and evolution towards better international assistance programming for ultimate recipients and Canadian taxpayers will be incremental. Incremental but unceasing.
Fantastic. And that was indeed in that first part of the video, Christina Foley, who sends her regrets not being able to join us live today. However, we do have members of her team here to answer any questions that might be related to data or dashboards. And now, for our final engagement question on what we had just seen, we'd like to know in one word, what kind of information would you like the partner dashboard to display? And once again, we will be generating a word cloud. So if you could go ahead and populate that Menti now, that would be great. And we see partner allocations. I see decolonize, which is fascinating. And if you want to elaborate a little bit on that on the chat, that would be fine too. We're keeping all questions, everything that we hear is valuable data for us. So please know that the GCTI team is taking all your comments, all your questions into consideration. So everything is rich data for us. All right, we see project results and status seeming to hold in the center there. Timelines, for sure. I see burn rate. Encore des résultats. Historical data. Allocations. Delay in disbursements. Approvals versus rejections. Once again, so definitely a common theme there. Local versus international / Canadian. So definitely looking for some geographic information. That's great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Well, this is great. Those answers keep coming in. So Claude, is there anything else you want to conclude with? Because this wraps up this portion of the demo segment here.
Not really. Will paste the questions that are in the chat, but no concluding remarks beyond the ones that were actually in the video at the very end. This is it's a long journey. It's iterative, and we've said it a couple times in the opening remarks. We're taking a user-centric approach, which means that instead of Global Affairs Canada gazing into its own navel and assuming what it is we think you want, we're really trying to get your needs into this, and this is part of walking that talk.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Claude, and thanks for mentioning that. So once again, I've been saying it throughout, but all of this data that you're engaging with us on Mentimeter, we're keeping it. We're going to be compiling the responses, and you'll see the results coming back to you in some of the reporting that we're going to send back after the event. So we do have a couple more Mentimeter questions after this next presentation, so don't log out. You can stay logged in. And by the way, Claude will be sticking around. All the questions are coming in. We're logging them. We're putting them in order, and we're going to get to them as many as we can in the Q&A session that's coming up. So what I'll do now is turn it over to my colleague, Antoine Julien, who is going to share an update on the GCTI business process optimization. Alors, over to you, Antoine.
Oui, super, David. Merci beaucoup. Puis merci à Claude et Christina. En fait, j'avais pas eu l'occasion de les remercier. En fait, puis
Thank you very much, and thank you as well to Claude and Christina. I hadn't had a chance to thank them for the videos. I think the videos were very informative, and so this will help a lot in our processes. I'm the Deputy Director for Business Process Optimization. It's great to have the opportunity to tell you about this initiative today. And the idea was to give you an idea of what we've done so far and what the major deliverable will be in the fall. So we really want to focus so that the department can identify operational processes that can be made more efficient or effective. We want to identify business processes that can be made, again, more effective in line with the priorities identified by the department. We want to alleviate the administrative burden, enhance partner experience as well, among other things. We want the system to be user-friendly, to really be easy for you to use, and to facilitate your business relations with the department. This is a very innovative approach, in fact. It's the first time that we will rely on control points and decision points, as well as validation points that are derived from regulatory frameworks that define processes. So this is the scope of our revision here of our processes. Next slide. So what processes are we talking about here? We are talking about all processes that are under the transfer payment policy. So processes that are also with our colleague at Foreign Affairs and International Development and Aid. We cannot limit ourselves to a small team, and so this is why we've really centered our approach on users. And I will tell you more in the next few minutes on the coordination structure that we will use. We've aligned a revision with all operations that are currently applied to finance, to risk in other areas. We work very closely with teams in those departments so that we can implement solutions that they find in our optimization process. If we can go to the next slide now again.
De nos activités. On est en train de mettre en place une structure.
And to deliver on all our activities, we are setting up a coordination structure. There will be a first support line on this team. For now, it will be internal staff.
Que ça soit au niveau
We want to have several lenses that we can use to scan our processes. So, whether it's financial in terms of development and others, so that we can meet the department's expectations as well as the expectations of the partners and users. This is what you see on the screen for the upcoming months. So currently, we're working on the coordination structure. We're also finalizing the mapping and decision mapping of the SS process, as well as making decisions on control points. We want to identify control points that are optional and points that are mandatory. This will be complementary information to what you've seen in the videos, and it will be integrated in the system as it goes. And we want to have this finalized for about the end of June. Next, during the summer, what we'll do is we will work on the first iteration of a simplified basic process, and that's the deliverable for December 2024. We want to have a basic process with the different channels and organization in order to meet the needs of all the various channels there, and you will certainly be asked for your feedback on this at some point. So that was it for my update, and thank you, David, and I will have the pleasure to reply to any questions.
Second to catch their breath after that one. Lots of information coming your way, folks, on what we just saw. We do have one more engagement question, which we'll put on the screen, and this is a ranking. So on your screen, you're going to see different aspects of the project life cycle, and we want to know which we should prioritize for simplification. So I'm not going to read what you see on the screen, but of these, which ones do you think we should get to first? So if you can go ahead and fiddle around with the ranking a little bit now in Menti, that would be great. And if you do have questions regarding what you just heard from Antoine, please go ahead, throw them in the chat. We're quickly approaching the Q&A space, and we'll try to get to as many of these questions as we can. Though there are quite a few, so I'm not sure, we certainly won't be able to get to all of them, but as I mentioned, we are tracking every single question we get, and we will try to answer them and get back to you following the event in a bit of a wrap-up email. All right, so we're starting to see these rankings come in, and jockeying is, it's changing as we speak here. The concept note submission, holding down. Puis après ça, négociation de l'accord. Oh, just got bumped to third.
And next up, agreement negotiation.
I was just about to say, clearly the top three are holding, but they're actually moving as we speak. So, results reporting, concept note going back and forth now in a virtual tie, and agreement negotiation not far behind. And if you have put other, don't hesitate to put in the chat what you meant by other. That'll help us as well.
Et si je peux me permettre, David, en fait, dans les trois premiers, ça ressemble un peu au sondage, au résultat du sondage qu'on a fait à l'interne également.
There's three results here are looking similar to what we saw in our survey on the concept note submissions.
Rich data. And we're just going to pop up this one last Menti, and then I'll call on Brandon to join me up on the virtual stage for the Q&A, I believe. So this question to wrap up, how would you like to be informed of future GCTI updates? And really, this is selfishly kind of for my team as we're trying to figure out how to best meet your informational needs. We have biannual forums, which is what we've been running so far, videos, direct email, articles in sector newsletters, websites, etc., or others. And please, once again, if it's other, go ahead and throw it into the chat. I don't believe these are all mutually exclusive. So if there are multiple ways you would like to be informed, please go ahead and put them in. So that's good. Seeing a lot of love for direct emails. And good to see that these biannual forums are appreciated as well. And bear in mind, what we're talking about here really is these big, kind of a little more broad information and engagement sessions. We'll continue to co-create with many of you throughout the process. So this is really kind of hitting that sharing of information note more than those technical sessions. So this is wonderful. So about 40% would appreciate some direct email, with 32% hitting on those the same annual forum. The videos we hope are going to be useful, you know, and of course blending like we did. We leveraged a few short videos for this session, and we could hopefully pop some links to some videos in some of those direct emails. All right. That is it for the Mentimeter section. Once again, a huge thanks to all of you for participating in that. And now we're going to open, I'll call Brandon back, and he and I are going to kind of facilitate this Q&A session. So people have been putting their questions in the chat. You can please continue to do so. And the first question we have online here is, would the already existing information be automatically transferred to the new portal? And I think we're going to call on Claude to come back on and answer that question for us.
We can move on. I answered that one earlier, David.
Okay. All right. How about, what do we have here? Is the est-ce que l'évaluation de nos propositions par AMC sera disponible?
Will the evaluations by the GAC be available? So very quickly, Jose, there's 2 points. So technically, is it technically possible? Yes, the system allows us to do it, but you know, we're evolving as an organization, and then we are living the open principles that the government of Canada abides by. And the objective of transformation is one of the objectives is in order to improve the transparency and the feedback that is provided.
had the videos been 15 minutes instead of 11, there's actually already existing functionality in the prototype where you would have seen the answers and the responses to each one of the questions. So the answer, Megan, to you on that one is it exists in the system, and yes, it's the intention.
Awesome. Thank you, Claude. All right. And again, my apologies because I can't see the chat. So if it's been answered in text, please let me know. But is this accessible only to GAC personnel or also to partners? And I think this question was pertaining to the dashboards.
Yeah. Again, open government, the intention is absolutely to be, this information is your information. So that dashboard really truly is, the intention is to have that information available and accessible to everyone. And then if I can jump ahead, because there's a couple related questions that we could probably answer at the same time, David, in terms of what are some of the indicators that you can put in. If I step up just a little bit, the objective here is to put as much of the data from our international assistance programming as possible in one place. The extent to which we have all that data in one dataverse and then we have access to it, it's almost, sky is almost the limit in terms of what's technically possible in terms of indicators. And then to answer one last question related to this, what you've seen on the screen today is literally just a first little prototype cut at what it is. It was focused on traditional programming. It was focused, the examples were traditional. It was focused on financial aspects of, that is only that particular view of the slice of the view. In terms of what you can actually present, results, impacts, service standards, like all of those things are within our reach. It's a matter of, again, having as much data as possible that we can pick from, and then what's the organizational culture in terms of walking that open government talk. And that's ahead of us, and just by getting this feedback from you today, we're seeing where your priorities lie in a user-centric approach.
Okay. Well, thank you, Claude. All right. And Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you if you don't mind. And we have, I would be interested to know how a decolonization and reconciliation lens has been applied to this work.
Thanks, David. And that's a great question. And there are, that question, there are many ways to answer it, but for right now, to be as direct and pithy as possible, we are committed to a fully inclusive approach. So even our teams, the people that are working on this, we're being as interdisciplinary as possible. But the goal is to be localized and as accessible as possible. I think our beginning premise is to take that decolonized and reconciliation lens from everything that we do. And, you know, as Claude and as what we've mentioned, the fact that we're building this in an agile way with government processes, being as simple as possible means breaking things down. It means looking at each form and stepping back and trying to deconstruct to be as efficient and simple and accessible as possible. But then what we will do, we of course do that with a view of decolonized and localized and with a view to be as accessible as possible. But then we are going to have multiple rounds with Indigenous partners, localized partners, global partners. So we receive their feedback and we see how easy or how difficult it is for them to even engage and work within our new systems. And we're going to continue to iterate as we move forward. So, you know, David, I know we're getting close to time. There are a lot of great questions. And as David's been saying, all this feedback is useful because when a question is asked, me and my team, we take it as actually as a partner need. If a partner, you know, if some of the questions say you are only focusing on traditional KPIs, or will information be made available on XYZ? we are taking this moment to say that is a requirement, that we have to not look at traditional KPIs, that we have to actually make more information available. So we're turning all of your questions around as driving our understanding of your partner needs. I think that's the best way to look at it. And for those of you that really would like more information, dig deeper, Claude, our deep experts, we're providing deep dive sessions. So this, of course, is a higher level overall broad session, but then please follow up and attend some of our sessions where we could have a bit more of a back and forth and really get into the details. So we have another opportunity for everyone to continue this conversation.
Thank you for that, Brandon. I think that's a good note for us to wrap up the Q&A. And again, noting fully we didn't get to nearly all the questions, but we will do our best to provide some answers. So Brandon, I think I'm passing it back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, David, for leading us through the feedback session. And of course, thanks to Claude and Christina and Antoine Julien for his presentation on all the optimization of business processes that we are doing. Now, what we'll be doing is we have some time for a little more feedback. So you'll see on the screen that there's a QR code. And that's the link to our survey that will also be posted in the chat. And as I've just mentioned, I can't overstate how important your questions, your answers, and your feedback is, because that gives us our prioritization and our feedback on what you need. And that actually drives our work in the coming months. So this survey that's on the screen will remain open until the end of the month, until May 31st. So even those partners that couldn't attend today are able to complete it. And so please share with some of your other colleagues or colleagues that you know couldn't attend. This is your opportunity as partners to give us the feedback as to what's most important for you. And so with that, and so don't worry, the link is in the chat and we're going to move on from the QR code, but please don't worry, we will make the link available. So that brings us to the end of our session today. The next steps. We of course know when we all meet in a synchronized time like today, not everyone can attend. So this session has been recorded, and the Mentimeter and the survey that was just posted will all remain open until the end of the month, until May 31st. So our colleagues, your colleagues, other partners can remain engaged. An email is going to be sent at the end of this week with the French and the English recordings, along with all the Mentimeter and survey links. So coming out of today's GCTI Partner Forum, please register your comments, and we're going to draft also a summary of what we've heard so that we can all be on the same page, and you can share with your other colleagues the summary of today's session. And of course, please reach out anytime. Right now in the chat, our email has been posted. We want to hear from you, not just every 6 months at a forum, but at any time. Even if you have a meeting with Global Affairs, some of our other colleagues, and you think of an idea, please send us an email. We want to hear all your ideas, because at the end of the day, you are experts. You have value. And we are undertaking this transformation together so that the work that I and my team does will benefit you as partners as much as possible. So thank you for your wonderful engagement today, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. So until next time, wishing you all the best. Merci beaucoup.